Here's how to use the diagonal Scotch stitch in practice, and here's how to compensate. So what compensating means is when you are doing a decorative stitch and you're just continuing the pattern, but you're doing it in kind of the awkward spaces. So up at the top of the circle, on the edges of the circle, anywhere where the pattern doesn't exactly fit onto the canvas, you have to compensate. So here I'm stitching up towards the edge of this design, and so I'm gonna have to start compensating. So I did the one stitch, the next stitch is over 2 canvas intersections, so that one's fine, but then the next stitch will be supposed to be, according to the pattern, over 3 canvas intersections, but I only will do 2 because that's all that there's room for in this pattern. Now before I continue on with this motif, I'm going to pop up here and I'm just going to throw in 2 tent stitches here from where the previous, the row above continued on. And so you just put in tent stitches where they're single lines, but then everywhere else you just fill in the pattern as much as you can. All right, now I'm going to continue the pattern. This is supposed to be 2 canvas intersections, but I can only fit 1, and then there's no way to finish up this motif. So as I pick up the bottom row, I use the row above it in order to help me determine, like, okay, I know that at the 3 stitch, which is kind of the corner of the square, I know that's going to be 1, so that's going to be 1 there, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. So I just kind of count it out onto the canvas before I start stitching. I find where the pattern is going to be using the row above as the reference point, so that helps to keep me on track as I'm compensating. Here in this section where the pattern is coming up towards the horse's face, there's not a whole lot of room up here, so I'm just going to continue the pattern as best I can. So we just stitched a 3, now a 2, so just got done with a 2. The next row in the pattern, or the next stitch in the pattern, is a 1, so I'm going to do a 1. The next stitch in the pattern is a 2, and it looks like there is just enough room for that stitch, so this is going over 2 canvas intersections, no problem. Then of course the next stitch in the pattern goes over 3 canvas intersections, but there's not actually room to go over 3. There's only 2 like blank stitches available, so I just skip that 3rd and I stitch the 2. Okay, so then for the row underneath of it, I use the row on top to find where I am. So this blank space is supposed to be going over 3 canvas intersections, but since the design is there, I can only fit 1. But I keep in mind that that's supposed to be 3. And then the next stitch in the pattern is going over 2. But I can only fit 1, so I just stitch 1, but I keep it in my mind that I'm supposed to be going over 2. The next stitch is supposed to be a 1, but I can't put it there at all because the design is there, so I skip it. Then I'm going over 2, but there's only room for 1, so I just stitch 1. Then this is supposed to be 3, but there's only room for 2, so I stitch 2. I hope that makes sense. To kind of give you a sense of like what I'm talking about with compensating. You just fit in what you can. You keep the pattern in your mind the entire time you're stitching. So like I said in the previous video about this stitch, I repeat in my mind 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and just keeping that rhythm in my head helps with the pattern, so that as I stitch the repeating pattern and I skip things here and there, it all fits in together.